Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity given me. I rise to comment on the motion, supporting the motion that has been moved, and in so doing to commend highly the respected majority leader, the respected minority leader, the Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, for the nobility, civility, and humility demonstrated, and the honor in seeing fit to apologize unreservedly and withdrawing any comments that may have been deemed offensive to the clerk of the appointment committee. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive to note that this is not the first time in relation to the activities of the appointment committee and processes for parliamentary approval. This is not the first time the Honorable Minority Leader has had to apologize. The other occasion was to apologize to a nominee who was before the committee, who stated that he felt he and his family and chiefs were offended by some utterances of the Minority Leader. He unreservedly apologized and retracted. Today he has demonstrated. But we must put on record that Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, neither is there any member of the minority side. None of us is on the 10th report of the appointment committee pending approval of this House. It is members of the majority who are penned in this report, pending our approval, whom the public out there is watching to demonstrate the highest standards of nobility, of humility, and of service. Mr. Speaker, my respected senior Minister for Education earlier had quoted Article 78(1) that ministers of state shall be appointed by the President from Parliament by Parliament's prior approval. Members of Parliament or members who have the same eligibility to become members of Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a reason why the framers of the Constitution insisted that when the President appoints a minister, they must obtain the prior approval of Parliament. It goes beyond the technical qualification. It goes beyond technical competence, but character, leadership, nobility, and accountability, among others, are the traits they look out for. I am looking at my colleagues taking a cue from the nobility just demonstrated. To the nominee for the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Rashid Purple, very respected member of this House, I've had the opportunity to review one of his books that he authored, True Meaning of Life. His temperament and his past record of public service give me every assurance that he would have what it takes to be able to work to maintain the calm labor front that we have seen over the past years, and to ensure that he engages the multiplicity of stakeholders within the labor front to ensure that their demands are discussed, they are heard, and even not fully, when the expectations are not fully met, they receive the assurances that will help them work with their government. On 24 hours economy, the nominee assured the House and the committee that he would work with his government to ensure that companies that are not already operating 24 hours are given support, specific support to ensure that they're able to employ 3 teams and 3 batches, 3 shifts for 24-hour economy to be fully operationalized. That is a commendable assurance. But we want to see that assurance given effect to in the first budget that may be presented to this House. That will be the commitment that indeed there is concrete plans to incentivize the private sector to tap into President Mohammed's 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, I wish him well. On Honorable Joseph Bukari Nikpe, Minister for Transport Designate, I have every confidence that The minister will have what it takes, given his temperament and how we know him, to be able to engage the multiple stakeholders, particularly within our public transport front, to ensure that it's unified, that ensure that they provide safer and peaceful and more efficient public transport system for Ghanaians. He also assured the committee that the general concern of the public relating to the poor state of aircraft and the relatively high costs of airfares that are of airlines that are operating in Ghana will be looked into to ensure that we have value for money, that we have improved air transport system, and that outdated aircraft are taken from our system. Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, the Minister Designate for Environment, on page 49, Mr. Speaker, the nominee acknowledged the steps taken by the erstwhile government, the MPP government, in making available abundant solar energy resources, and assured that he would champion exploring or championing an initiative where the government agencies and ministries would tap into these resources to ensure that we have efficient energy utilization. President Trump signed an executive instrument that saw the United States of America withdrawing from the important climate change treaty that Ghana is a signatory to. In reaction to this very important concern or development, the nominee assured that he was going to do something about it. But beyond the rhetoric, it is important that the nominee pays attention to exploring innovative financing mechanisms, because there will definitely be financing shortfalls to be able to finance the financing gaps within the climate change action that this country is committed to. And we wish him well in his pursuit. But he concluded on page 50, as contained on page 51 of the report, that as part of his legacies, he is going to ensure that he leaves a legacy of discipline at the ministry, and that all the agencies under his ministry will also be called to discipline. And to this, we are all urging that he walks the talk, particularly when he cites discipline as a legacy he wants to leave at the ministry. Regarding Honorable Sam George, Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation Designate, it is important that the minister, if approved, prioritizes the digital, rural, urban digital divide. The poor child in Asen, Jinabodie, deserves to have the same infrastructure to support its 21st century learning, to ensure that telecommunication infrastructure is provided in rural areas much as are available in urban areas. And that is one challenge that will be a feather in his cap if you looked at. One of the commitments he himself cited was the challenge of cybercrime activities. And we would urge him that, if approved, to pay attention to sanitizing the cyberspace and curbing cybercrime activities to ensure that safe environment is maintained for online business, education, leisure, and other very purposeful activities. Last but not least, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, Minister Designate for Sports and Recreation. He has assured this House that under his leadership, he is going to ensure that Black Stars brings home caps, that our national teams bring home medals and laurels. We will support him in that feat. Football is one sport that unites the whole country, that tones down the tensions when politics raises it. Sports comes in to unite us. It is important that he pays attention to that sector, and beyond that, to expand the development of other sports. On this note, I congratulate the nominees and to urge that for the purposes of tomorrow, serving in the executive, if you find yourself in backbench or in the minority, your public utterances are important. Your public contact today are as important as when you are nominated. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.